Before we get started, I want to just introduce myself a little bit. The story I tell myself is that all of you know each other, and that I'm the outsider. So that may not be true, but that's the story I'm telling myself. So let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Michael. You may recognize me in some capacity. I work with Portland Seminary as the admissions counselor for all the master's programs, and I live here in Newburgh. My wife Liz works full time on the Newburgh campus as the director of residence life, and we've been in Oregon for about 5 years. It feels to some degree like we've always been here. This has become home. We moved here when our daughter was 6 months old, and she's now 5.5, going on her first overnight camping trip with a friend today. So it feels like, in some ways, like Oregon was the home we were always looking for, and we love it here. I'm originally from Tennessee, actually, and I did my master's degree at Asbury Seminary in Kentucky, and that's where Liz and I met and got married there, moved across the Midwest for a few years, and then landed out here. So some of the work I do locally, I'm involved with a nonprofit called Deep Water, and Deep Water really is an organization that helps men primarily deal with their inner landscape, explore what's going on the inside, how it's affecting them in their lives and their relationships. And it's really about creating space for men to do that work. What's unique about Liz and I, we both do this work, and we found ways to connect it, not only for men's work, but for women's work as well. And so we've started a number of groups that help women do the same kind of work, and this impacts a lot of what I do with spiritual direction and group facilitation. So, and then I'm also on the leadership team here with the Companioning Center, and hoping to offer some classes in the near future, but I'm excited to step into this today and just hold this space. I want to, just to make note as well, my daughter's name is Bina. I'll talk about her in a second here. So Bina is 5.5. Her name means wisdom in Yiddish. And then we have David. David is 2.5 or so. And so they're in ripe ages, and they're at daycare right now. So that's why I'm even able to be here with you all. So I want to tell 2 stories briefly. They're short stories to kind of orient us. And then we're going to just have step into a guided meditation that I'll lead, that you'll have the opportunity to just sit in and maybe explore your own inner landscape in this time. I don't think we're going to go for a full hour, but we might, and we'll just see how it unfolds. My daughter loves to create. She loves to create. Sometimes she'll come home from school and she'll walk to the back and she'll just disappear, and she'll come out holding this new creation. She'll just create something, and then she'll come out and she'll say, hold it up. Here's what I made. She's really excited. And probably about a month ago, she came out with something she had made. She was more excited than usual, very excited about what she had made. And she holds it up and she says to us, sometimes I love my creations so much, I want to dance with them. Sometimes I love my creations so much, I just want to dance with them. A few weeks ago, we were playing cards, and you may have read this story in the last blog post that I posted with the Companion Center. But we were playing cards, and I had just put my son David down to bed, and I always feel like I'm always going to wake him up, so I'm very cautious about sound at that time. So we were playing cards out in the living room, and Bina got very excited again. And I said, Bina, I'm going to need you to be a little quieter. Because you're going to wake up your brother. And I shushed her. I just said, shh, Bina, shh. And her face kind of dropped, and she was obviously a little upset. And so I asked her, I said, Bina, did it hurt your feelings when I shushed you? And she said to me, yeah, because I have one of those voices that can't be stopped with human shushing. I have one of those voices that can't be stopped with human shushing. So as we start our time, I want us to just arrive in this space, in the space that you are in. Feel free to close your eyes, open your eyes, whatever you want to do. I want you to go ahead and take a deep breath. The joys of being a child allow us to dance, allow us to create, allow us to be excited. Also allow us to speak the truth and to be honest. And to hold up boundaries that maybe we forget as adults. Go ahead and just continue to take another deep breath. What in you has been silenced? What in you has been shushed? What in you has lost the ability to speak? Where in your life have you become quiet? I'm just going to give some space here to settle into those questions and just hold them. So we're going to go on a little journey here. And we're going to end this journey back where you're at. But I'm going to ask that you trust this process and trust my guidance as we step into this. And so I want you to just, if you haven't arrived in the place that you're in, go ahead and arrive there first. Feel your feet on the ground, feel your legs connecting you to the ground. Feel the chair or the couch that you're sitting in. Feel your back. Acknowledge any tensions in your body. Feel your arms and your hands. Feel the weight of your head and how your neck supports your head. And now I want you to imagine. I want you to think back to a time in your life, to a place. Could be a place that you've been to recently, a familiar place. It could be a place that you haven't been to in a long time, and maybe you were only there once. But I want you to think of a safe place, a place that in your memory you can be yourself, where you've been welcomed. Maybe a place that you have connected with God on multiple occasions. As you find that space, that place, I want you to just imagine yourself kind of relaxing and letting go and floating up out of the place that you're in, and you float up to the ceiling and you go through your ceiling, and now you're looking down at the house or room or office space that you're in. And you keep floating up, and you are now above the trees, and you look down and you see all the trees that surround you and the neighborhood, streets, the traffic. Maybe this is the furthest you've been from your home in a while. You look down, you see the world that we're all living in. Now I want you to travel to that safe space, to that safe place where you are welcome. Maybe it's in another country and you'll have to go a little faster. Maybe it's close by and you know the exact route. But I want you to just fly to that space. And as you arrive, I want you just to float over it for a moment and just allow yourself to descend down through the trees, through the roof, or just into that field. I want you to arrive in that safe space. Take a couple deep breaths as you're in that place. Without words, I want you to invite Jesus there. You don't need to take care of him. There's nothing you need to do. I just want you to invite Jesus into that space. Feel free to take a seat in that space, sit on the floor, lay on your back. In that space, as you are there, as you sit with Jesus, as Jesus sits with you, I want you to find a question. Maybe it is a question that you're carrying, a question that continues to surface. It's a question that you carry in your gut, sometimes in your shoulders, in your back. I want you to hold that question for a moment and feel it. Maybe that question has words. Maybe it does not have words. Maybe it only has groans that are too deep for words. When you're ready, I want you to look at Jesus. I want you to make eye contact. And again, without words, I want you to communicate your question. I want you to ask your question. If it needs to be with words, that's okay, but maybe it's just a look. Maybe there are tears. Now that you have asked your question, I want you to feel in your body what it's like to acknowledge that question and to ask it. Now, Jesus has not had a chance to respond. But maintaining that space, that eye contact, I want you to receive. I want you to receive Jesus's response. Now I want you to feel in your body what it was like for Jesus to respond. Maybe what it was like to not be able to receive a response. I want you to feel whatever it is that you need to feel right now and acknowledge. As we end our time here with Jesus, I want you to place your hand on your body where you are feeling, whether it's an emotion, a pain. Just acknowledge where in your body you carry that. It could be joy, it could be fear, it could be sadness, it could be anger. As we end our time here with Jesus, we're going to let him go ahead and exit that space. He's not leaving, we're just going to have some time to arrive back. So I want you to think this space and go ahead and float up out of that space, looking down on it, on the trees, on the grass, the roads. And I want you to make your way back to your home, wherever you are. Go ahead and descend down through the clouds, through the trees, through the roof, and gently back into the space that you started in. Go ahead and take a deep breath. Feel your body in this space. Maybe wiggle your hands and your toes and just arrive. I'll pray a blessing over that time. God, thank you for our imagination. Thank you for showing us what you needed to show us, what we needed to see in that space. Be with us as we continue. Amen. So, thank you all for trusting me and for engaging in that. I've done this a number of times, and definitely the only time I've ever done it over Zoom, that we weren't all in the same space. So certainly unique.